Hi guys, welcome to Python tutorial series. In the previous videos, we understood creating functions using def keyword. We understood creating functions using lambda keyword. In this video, I would like to discuss creating immediately invocable functions in Python. Creating immediately invocable functions in Python. We understood what is a function first, right? Function is a set of statements meant to perform a specific task, right? Function is a set of statements meant to perform a specific task. Whenever we need to do a task, we create a function for it. Like if I have to do addition of two numbers, I create add function. If I have to calculate area of circle, then I create a function called area of circle, right? And I also told you there are different ways of creating functions in Python, right? There are different ways of creating functions in Python. The first way is using the def keyword. Using the def keyword in Python, most of the time you will see functions defined using the def keyword, because functions defined using the def keyword are used to perform simple to complex tasks. Whereas in Python, a function is defined using the lambda keyword also, but a function defined using the lambda keyword is used to perform simple tasks. Okay, we don't use the lambda functions for performing complex tasks because lambda functions execute a single statement only. They execute a single statement. Okay, what we do first is we define a function and then we call a function. I told you functions in Python are executed only when we call them, right? First we define a function. Either using the def keyword, right? Either using the def keyword or using the lambda keyword Later we call them whenever we need to execute that code or whenever we need to perform that task, right? If you want to execute function immediately, functions which are executed immediately are called immediately invocable functions, guys. So in this video we'll be talking about how do we create immediately invocable functions. We define the function and immediately execute it. Let's go to Python ideally shell and the Python file here and understand step by step. In the previous videos we understood different types of functions, right? The first type of function we understood is a function without parameters without return value, right? A function without parameters without return value. We understood how to define it with the help of def keyword, right? So here I say def, then we write the function name wish underscore high. This function is not going to take any parameters, so it's empty, you can see that, colon, and then I say here print, it is going to say high. So this is how we define a function using the def keyword, and it is a function without parameters without return value. I told you if I save this and say run module, we don't get any output because functions get executed only when we call them, right? After defining a function, whenever we want to call that function, we can call. And how do we call the wish high function? Simply we write the function name wish high and empty brackets because it is not asking for any parameters, so empty brackets. If I save now and say run module, we'll see high displayed. And if we want, we can call this function again. I save it and say run module, again it says high, so 2 times high we got, right? Wish high function is called, so print function has displayed high. Again wish high function is called, print function has displayed high. So that's how it works. I also told you we can easily convert this into a lambda function, right? How do we convert this into a lambda function, guys? I told you the function name becomes variable name equal to, we use lambda keyword, and as it is not asking for any parameters, we don't put here anything, just colon, and the print statement we put on the same line. If we put on the next line, we'll get the error, guys. If I save this and say run module, you see it's an invalid syntax. We have to put this statement on the same line. Okay, now 2 times wish high function is called. I told you the variable name is going to become the function name, so we are going to call this function with the help of variable name, and it is not asking for any parameters, so empty brackets. Again we'll see 2 times high displayed. If I save this and say run module, you see 2 times high is displayed, right? Now here we are defining the function and later we are calling. If we want, we can execute this function immediately. So that's what we are talking, creating immediately invocable functions. So for that, what we do, the syntax is we write lambda and we define parameters colon the statement to be executed, and immediately we call the function using the brackets, and if that function accepts any parameters, we pass the parameters, guys. Okay, so in our case here, what we do is we'll delete this, we put this entire thing in brackets. Now we want to execute this immediately, so we'll put 2 brackets here. As it is not taking any parameters, we'll just write here empty parameters, empty parentheses. Now we can delete this. So if I save this and say run module, it says hi. So this is an immediately invocable function where it is not taking any parameters and it is not returning any value back. So this is an example for a function without parameters, without return value. Okay, if I have to display one more time hi, we have to copy and paste this entire code. Save and say run module. You see 2 times high is displayed, right? So we are calling immediately. So this is actually called immediately invocable function, guys. Okay, we also understood the second type of function, that is a function with parameters without return value. A function with parameters without return value. Now let me go back and define the wish function. Here I say diff, I say wish function. Now this time wish function takes a parameter, that is what to wish, and print function is going to display value inside what. Of course, if I save this and say run module, nothing happens because we have to call this wish function. So I call the wish function. While calling the wish function, we have to pass what to wish. So here I say good morning. Okay, if I save this and say run module, it says good morning. So what happens here, wish function is called, good morning is stored in what, and print function has displayed the value inside what, that is good morning. If I want, I can say good afternoon. I say wish, this time good afternoon. If I save this and say run module, you see we got good morning and good afternoon. So first good morning is displayed, next good afternoon is displayed, guys. Now if we want, we can convert this into a lambda function, right? And how? Function name becomes the variable name. Function name becomes the variable name. Here equal to, we use the keyword lambda, and as it is taking one parameter, we just give a space and write the parameter name what, and we put this statement on the same line, print what. This is a lambda function, guys. It takes one parameter. Okay, it is not going to return any value back. But if I save this and say run module, we definitely get the output saying good morning and good afternoon. The variable name going to be used as the function name here. Okay, first we define the function and later we can call. Okay, if we want, we can execute this function immediately. And how? I told you that you have to put this lambda and the statement inside the brackets. Okay, and immediately you have to call. Okay, you have to call, and while calling you have to pass the parameter. It is asking what to wish. So here in single quotations you say good morning, guys. I save it and say run module. You see we got good morning displayed. So good morning is stored in what, and print function has displayed the value inside what. So we are defining the function and immediately we are executing it. If you have to display good afternoon also, simply copy this and paste down. Save. Let me modify this to good afternoon. Save and say run module. You see good morning is displayed, good afternoon is displayed. We cannot call this function later because it has no name. This is actually an anonymous function which is immediately getting executed. Understanding? So whenever I have to call this function, I have to write this entire code. Okay, here this function is taking only one parameter. If we want, we can have a function with multiple parameters, right? See here I'm saying def. This time I'm creating a function called as add. It takes two numbers, num1 comma num2. Okay, two parameters are there. What it does, it is going to print num1 plus num2. It is going to print num1 plus num2. Of course, if I save this and say run module, nothing happens because we have to call this add function, right? We'll say add 10 comma 20. If I save now, 10 is stored in num1, 20 is stored in num2, 10 plus 20, 30 is displayed. If I save this and say run module, you see 30 is displayed. If I want, I can call this one more time. I can say add and say 30 20. Save and say run module, it says 50, right? 30 plus 20 is 50 displayed. If we want, we can convert this into a lambda function, right? Simply make the function name as variable name equal to, we use the keyword lambda, L-A-M-B-D-A, and parameters we put as it is. We just remove this parenthesis and then we put the print statement on the same line. So this is a lambda function. We define the function and we call it using the variable name. I save it and say run module. You see we are getting the same output, 30 and 50, right? If we want, we can execute this function immediately. How? We can put this entire statement, the lambda, parameters and the statement inside brackets, and then immediately we call this function. While calling, we have to pass the parameters num1 and num2, that is 10 comma 20. So if I save this and say run module, definitely you will see 30 displayed. If you want to display 50, you have to call this function once again, and here we pass 30 this time. If I save this and say run module, you see we are getting 30 and 50. So when this function is called, 10 is stored in num1, 20 is stored in num2, 10 plus 20, 30 is displayed. When this function is called, 30 is stored in num1, 20 is stored in num2, 30 plus 20, 50 is displayed, guys. So this is a function with parameters without return value. We understood a function with parameters and with return value also, right? Here I say def. I am creating a function called as square. It takes a value as a parameter. What it does, instead of printing, it is going to return value multiplied by value, that is square of value. If I come here and say square, S-Q-U-A-R-E, square of 2, of course 2 is stored in the value, 2 into 2, 4, 4 is written here, guys. Return statement sends 4 here. If I save this and say run module, nothing happens. We don't get any output. Why? Because we have to print that return value. The value that is coming here, we have to print square of 2. If I save and say run module, you see we got 4, right? If I want, I can say print square of 3. This time 3 is stored in the value. 3 into 3 is 9 is written back here. Print function displays 9. If I save this and say run module, you see we got 4 and 9, right? 4 and 9. If we want, we can convert this into a lambda function, right? How? Square is going to be variable name equal to, we use lambda, lambda keyword, and value we'll have here as a parameter, and we don't use the return keyword here. We just write the expression value multiplied by value. That's a statement, right? So square of 2 is called, 2 is stored in the value, 2 into 2, 4, 4 is returned back in this place. Same, square of 3, 3 is stored in the value, 3 into 3, 9 is written back in this place. If I save this and say run module, you see 4 and 9 displayed, right? We define the function first and later we call. If we want, we can convert this into an immediately invocable function. How? We put the lambda, parameter and the statement or the expression inside the bracket. As it is asking for single parameter, immediately we are calling and passing the parameter 2 here. Now you see that 2 is stored in the value, 2 into 2, 4, 4 is written in this place, guys. See, if I save this and say run module, we don't get any output. Why? Because we are not using anywhere print. What we do here, we give this entire thing to the print function, If I save this and say run module, you see now we got 4. If I have to find the square of 3, I can simply copy this entire print statement and paste down, and now I pass 3 here. 3 is stored here, 3 into 3, 9 is written back here immediately. I save this and say run module, you see we got 9. For doing simple calculations, you can use these lambda functions, guys. Okay, simple tasks. you can use lambda. But when you have to do complex tasks, then you have to go for the def keyword. Okay. Next, we also understood a function without parameters but with return value. Function without parameters with return value. That is, here I am defining a function called as pi. It is not going to take any parameter, but it is going to return the value of pi, 3.142. Right? Now if I say print display the value of pi, definitely we'll see 3.142 displayed. If I say run module, you see 3.142 is displayed because pi is called, it has written 3.142 here, print function has displayed 3.142. We can convert this into a lambda function, right? What happens here? Pi is going to become variable name equal to, we use the keyword lambda. As it is not taking any parameters, we'll just simply put the colon, and here we don't use the return keyword, we just put 3.142 here. So 3.142 comes here. If I save this and say run module, we get the same output, 3.142. So that's how we define the lambda functions and we call them. If we want, we can convert this into an immediately invocable function. How? We put the lambda keyword and the value 3.142 and immediately we'll call this function. Immediately we call this function and it is not taking any parameters, so empty brackets. And cut this and put it over here. If I save this and say run module, you see we got 3.142 guys. So that is how we can create immediately invocable functions guys. Very simple. Lambda parameters colon the statement you put inside the brackets, and immediately you use pair of parentheses to call that function. And if the function asking for any parameters, you pass the parameters. Okay, so a function without parameters, without return value, lambda, it is not taking any parameters, it is not returning anything, just it is displaying hi. You can see we are using brackets, empty brackets. Here we understood a function with parameters without return value. So here we are using lambda, parameter is what to print, and it's going to print the value inside what. While calling, we are passing the value good morning. Good morning is stored in the what, and print function displays what is the value inside what, that is good morning. Understanding? And here we have two parameters, lambda num1 comma num2. So when we call, we pass 10 and 20 here. So 10 is stored in num1, 20 is stored in num2. It prints 10 plus 20, 30 immediately. Right? A function with parameters with return value. So here we are having a lambda with single parameter, that is value. While calling, you see we are passing the value 3. 3 is stored in the value. So value multiplied by value, 3 into 3, 9. 9 is written in this place immediately. So print function displays the 9 on the screen guys. So it's a function with parameter with return value. And we also understood a function without parameters with return value. A function without parameters, you can see after lambda we don't have any parameters, but it returns a value back, 3.142. Immediately we call, it displays 3.142 on the screen guys. So that is about how do we create immediately invocable functions guys. So in Python, syntax is most important guys. The syntax is most important. You have to remember the syntax. You will remember the syntax only if you practice these examples. Practice examples more and more guys. Then you will remember the syntax. Then you can create any type of functions. And you decide yourself when to create which type of function. Whether to create a function using def, whether to create a function using lambda, or whether to execute a function immediately. So it all depends upon the situation guys. I suggest you people to watch these videos again and again. Understand them. Practice, practice, practice. Execute codes many times so that you remember them. Okay. If you still have any doubts, feel free to put them in the comment section guys. I'll be happy to clear. In the upcoming video tutorials, we'll discuss more about Python in depth step by step. For more benefits and be up to date, do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Keep learning, keep coding, keep sharing. Thank you guys. Thank you very much. See you in the next tutorial.